I'll be right back, Doctor. The others will be with me.
Guys, welcome to a classic film review of 1959's 10 Seconds to Hell, starring Jack Palance, Jeff Chandler and Martine Carroll. Now, this was directed by Robert Aldrich, and it's a tension-filled tale of a group of German ex-soldiers hired to defuse unexploded Allied bombs in the ruins of Berlin. Now, a small cast and some nail-biting bomb disposal sequences, twinned with a tight runtime, make it an interesting and effective thriller that's perhaps not as well known as it should be. Now, I was surprised to learn this was in fact a Hammer Films production that effectively mixes German studio work with real war-torn and atmospheric Berlin locations. Let's take a look. So, 10 Seconds to Hell sees a small gang of German POWs returning to Berlin just after the war. Now, these guys have spent time in a British prison camp after falling out of favour with the Nazis, so of course they're the good Germans. Anyway, they volunteer to work for the Allies defusing unexploded bombs amongst the rubble of Berlin, and this job, of course, is so dangerous that they are rewarded with healthy paychecks, housing and extra ration cards. Now, the unique twist here in 10 Seconds to Hell is that the men make a grim pact with each other to place half their earnings in a kitty, with the last surviving man collecting the money.
Each of us puts up half our salary into a pot, and the ones that are left alive, divided up.
In the end, some of us could be quite well off.
That's a great idea. It's a good feeling knowing some of us will be rich.
Now, although there are 6 of them, the story focuses on the 2 dominant personalities, the unofficial leader, Eric, played by Jack Palance, and his nemesis, the everyman from himself, Karl Wurst, played by Jeff Chandler. And over the course of the next 90 minutes, there'll be mind games, crosses, double crosses, and an only slightly less explosive battle to win the affections of their French landlady, Margot Hoffer, played by Martine Carroll. Now, of course, it's no spoiler to say that one by one, the team will be blown to pieces, but there's a ticking time bomb of tension to see which of the group survives. So, acclaimed director Robert Aldrich made some pretty well-known classic movies. Kiss Me Deadly, one of my favourite film noirs, The Flight of the Phoenix, The Dirty Dozen, all great, but he also made some great little films that have since slipped out of the conversation. Films like Attack from 1956 and Emperor of the North from 1973. Right here, though, in this film, he still has one foot in film noir territory. Black and white photography from Ernest Laszlo, who also shot Kiss Me Deadly, along with The Naked Jungle and Fritz Lang's underappreciated While the City Sleeps. Here, he and Aldrich take a relatively low budget and bring every last bit of production value out of it, helped in no small part by actually being filmed on location in post-war Berlin, amongst actual bombed-out buildings.
But I'm very happy, Eric. Are you?
As happy as it's possible to be, I guess, under the conditions.
So it's not a perfect film, firstly, because the love triangle element here is not completely mishandled, but it's just so obviously a blatant attempt to get a girl's name on the poster. Martine Carroll does a good job, and I appreciate a female presence counterbalances the testosterone overload, but for me it's a bit of a distraction in a film that's otherwise built on the tension of its bomb disposal scenes, which I'll get into in a moment or two. I will say, though, that there's an interesting element in that Palance's Eric is gradually falling for Margot, feelings and all, whilst Chandler's Karl clearly just wants her for more physical reasons. And so this is more about the men, with poor Martine Carroll just stuck in the middle. And there's also perhaps not enough made of the literal life or death pact that these guys have entered into. They know their chance of survival is really low and that their 3-month contract is a game of Russian roulette with £1,000 bombs. But I'd love to have seen more dastardly shenanigans between the group as they clamber to be the last man standing. Maybe less love triangle, more traitorous double crossings.
What's the matter? You nervous? Watch out, it might go off. Then where would you be?
Where would you be?
Thankfully, though, in a film built on the premise of bomb disposal, 10 Seconds to Hell depicts the act of bomb defusing really well. Nail-biting, but without the Hollywood drama. These bomb set pieces are crafted with minimal music, tight camera angles, sweaty close-ups, and other distractions. If you're watching the film for the first time, these are unpredictable waiting games where just watching a guy unscrewing something will have you on the edge of your seat. A standout nighttime sequence has one of the group trapped beneath a fallen bomb while the smashed up building above him threatens to collapse on top of him and his rescue team.
No. Eric, no. You get us both blown up. Shut up.
Now, the sheer screen presence of Jack Palance here goes a long way. Palance, who was a great villain in works such as Panic in the Streets and Shane, gets to expand upon the brooding and righteous hero part that he fashioned in 1956's Attack, and get some great head-to-head moments with Jeff Chandler, himself playing against type as the slippery Carl Wirtz, whose descent into villainy climaxes in a brilliantly fashioned sequence towards the end that I won't spoil here. Now, there's not really a great deal of character development in all fairness. That's why I've not dwelt on the other members of the crew. They're more akin to teenage machete fodder in a slasher movie, the masked killer here being replaced with explosives. Now, for me, 10 Seconds to Hell is interesting as it deals with the German side of some of these post-war issues. I've seen quite a bit of material dealing with, say, war-torn London or blitzed out British cities in general, but not many that deal with the destruction caused by British bombers. Both sides, of course, capable of reducing centuries-old architecture to rubble. But it's still refreshing to see the human side of the enemy, a nation also trying to piece together and survive in cities that are literal bomb sites. So, based on the novel The Phoenix by Lawrence P. Bachman, 10 Seconds to Hell apparently had over 30 minutes of material chopped out of it by the studio, much, of course, to Robert Aldrich's frustration, and him eventually having his name taken off the project as a producer. And there's also quite a bizarre narration over some of this that I assume was probably added in after any cuts were made in an attempt to bring it all together. It probably doesn't need it.
The big man, Carl Wirtz, with one big idea in mind, his own survival. And one way to assure it, play for high stakes and deal from the bottom of the deck.
So the poster of 10 Seconds to Hell will tell you that this is 2 tons of buried blockbuster and 2 tons of desperate terror, which is pushing its luck, to be fair. It doesn't need a blockbuster budget to be entertaining or oversell the terror of placing your life in a steady hand and a pair of pliers. Go check it out.
Guess it's still my bomb.
Still your bomb.